So our presentation is titled Chornobyl Exclusion Zone and Radioactive Waste Management in Ukraine. So what is our agency? Our agency itself is a central executive body of executive power, and it is responsible for strategic directions. First of all, the management of the Chornobyl exclusion zone. Secondly, the overcoming of consequences of Chernobyl disasters, worldwide known tragedy. Also, it is the decommissioning of Chernobyl nuclear power plant and transformation of the object shelter into an ecologically safe system. And of course, last but not least, it's the state management in the area of radioactive waste handling. So the overall management structure of our agency is quite complicated. Actually, to begin with, our activity is coordinated by the Minister of Ecology and Natural Resources of Ukraine, Mr. Ostap Semerak, through the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine. But we, like independent organization, independent body. And there is a number of state enterprises, organizations under our management. You can see to the right. First of all, it's Ukrainian State Corporation Radon, which in its turn manages a list of other state specialized enterprises. Secondly, it's Chernobyl NPP itself, State Specialized Enterprise Eco Center and others, and a number of other organizations. Each one fulfills its own functions in relation to Chernobyl exclusion zone maintenance. Exclusion zone was contaminated by a long-life radionuclides during the accident in Chernobyl NPP, and just imagine the territory of this area compared with Luxembourg territory, and just in numbers it's 2,600 square kilometers contaminated with transuranium elements. So it was 96 neighborhoods evacuated forever, and 163,000 people received obligatory order, and almost 500,000 liquidators was involved in the process of liquidation of disaster consequences. So, as you may know, that Ukraine take third place in Europe and fifth place, first place in world in the amount of radioactive waste. And if some other countries have radioactive waste because of production of nuclear weapons and other activity, we have radioactive waste because of this disaster, this accident. As of today, territory divided for two parts. 10-kilometer zone around Chernobyl NPP is territory for special industrial use, where located facilities for radioactive waste management and facilities for renewable project energy. In 30 kilometers from reactor, we have provide radioactive ecological biosphere reserve. It big amount also of territories with huge amount of different kind of animals and trees. For 32 years after disaster, nature renewed itself so fast, and we have big amount of animals which is even came from red books. So, yeah, the territory of special industrial use, which Kateryna has already mentioned, is the so-called 10-kilometer zone around the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. This zone was created to enable using modern state-of-art technologies to dispose and store different kinds of wastes, for example, spent nuclear fuel or radioactive waste. And there is a number of facilities, you can observe pictures on this slide, around CNPP, designed especially for processing of radioactive waste or their storage or disposal. So it's 10-kilometer zone. Chernobyl Radiation Ecological Biosphere Reserve takes 227,000 of hectares. As Kateryna has already mentioned, there are more than 400 species of animals, birds and fish, and Red Data Book, it's a book of endangered animals that are already disappearing. There is also a number of species which is rare and subject to protection, as well as plants and so on. Chernobyl Radiation Ecological Biosphere Reserve fulfills such functions as barrier, buffer zone, preventing of dissemination of radionuclides. It's an open territory for scientific research and investigation, and it ensures the barrier function.
Under reactor, after accident, it was built shelter for 30 years, and it's already limited of time gone. So now we have transformation to new safe confinement, which will be used for 100 years. For today, construction is completed, and it's moved already, its biggest movement construction in the world, and it's moved to the place where it should be, and the cold test began. And in the end of this year, we think that it will start to be at work for 100 years. This slide shows largest moving construction in the world, new safe confinement. The commission of the facility is scheduled for the end of this year, how I say, and in 100 years it will be used. And we have some long story, the main steps of transformation the shelter object into the ecological safe system. Urgent dismantling of unstable structure inside of this shelter. It's a very important issue we have, and we must decide this issue until 2023, and ensure reliable operation of this shelter. So this is the main our goals. This slide demonstrates the specialized facilities for decommission of Chernobyl NPP, the international technical assistance with particular funding by Ukrainian government made possible the creation of these facilities, actually.
Talking about the radioactive waste management in the exclusion zone, in 1997, Ukraine has signed the joint convention on spent nuclear fuel management and the safety of radioactive waste management. And in accordance with this convention, in 2009, Ukraine has adopted a strategy of radioactive waste management. This strategy is actually designed for 50 years. And in compliance with this strategy, all the radioactive wastes should be transported to the exclusion zone on vector production complex. This is industrial complex vector. for further their long-term storage and disposal. And to accomplish the tasks defined by this strategy, the Ukrainian state corporation Radon, which I has mentioned earlier, was created. Radon in its turn has a number of other enterprises under its management, and one of them is a state specialized enterprise, central enterprise for radioactive waste management. It's the one and only national operator designed to dispose radioactive wastes. And also this organization has been chosen as a national operator for future deep geological repository to be constructed in Ukraine. And you can see many specialized facilities for radioactive waste management, which are in the exclusion zone, such as Pedlisny site, Burakivka, third stage NPP, and 9 radioactive waste temporary localization sites. Also, the capacities of Vector enabled to build the centralized storage for spent and other radiation sources. Currently, the storage is undergoing for a hot testing, which shall be hopefully completed by the end of this year. Also, there are some near-surface storages, so-called storage for solid radioactive waste number 1 and storage for solid radioactive waste number 2, which is almost completed construction, and other. Also, we face the problem of storage in high-level wastes vitrified to be returned from Russia. Currently, Ukraine pays sanctions, and in the nearest future there is a hope that we finally will construct such a storage to dispose this waste to be returned from Russia. And we cooperate closely with the IAEA in this regard.
One of the also serious problem we face today in exclusion zone, especially during summertime, it's fire. Why it's serious? Because first of all we have red forest spots, and the territory of exclusion zone is 150 kilometers from Kiev, and it's actually a region where so many people live, and it's very important to control, to don't have this fire, because we don't know which way it will go, and this forest contaminate with radionuclides, so we try to do all best to control the situation in all huge territory. We work together with Belarus to join project against the fire, and actually we have support from US Forest Service with protection these territories from fire. And next map is demonstrate the facilities which we have now and which we will provide in future to monitor and control the territory of exclusion zone against the fire. So we also have best in Europe special laboratory where specialists can control 24 hours the situation of radiation measures around of exclusion zone and in exclusion zone. We have 39 monitoring points, and special enterprise eco center provide control and report to our agency about situation every day. And in exclusion zone we have huge territories. It's ex-agricultural territories which never will be used anymore for human and never will be used for agriculture again. So our plan is provide biggest in Europe project of alternative energy. First of all, because we have energy infrastructure after Chernobyl and PP disaster, it was capacity until 4 gigawatt. So all overhead lines we have 110, 330 can be used, and the transformator station. With big support of French government and ENGIE company, we have already provided the feasibility study for 1.2 gigawatt. And this feasibility study shows actually that implementation of this project from technical, economical and ecological side is possible. So also we have in exclusion zone a lot of facilities and activities. That's why we provide project for eco-transport. It's very important because first of all it's reserve, and second our country is following the Paris Agreement, so we think this project is very useful for our territory. Investments in traveling, and one of main and popular now project in exclusion zone, it's provide service for visiting the exclusion zone. From 2010 we have special rules which is open possibility for foreigner and another Ukrainian people to have access to this territory and see what it is and how it is. And you can see the numbers. For example, in 2014 we had 8,000 tourists, and in 2017 it's almost 50,000 tourists. People are interested, and our agency and enterprises, they provide infrastructure for it, because for 32 years actually it's roads and some things was destroyed. So we also monitor some special roads where tourists can go safely, because it's very important that tourists don't go to some forest or take some things which is on the road.
So the contribution of international community in the efforts to overcome the consequences of Chernobyl disaster is very important and considerable for us, for Ukraine, for our agency. Our agency provides close cooperation with a number of international organizations such as IAEA, NATO, European Commission. Also it participates on a constant basis in G7 global partnership meetings. It works directly with governments of the USA, United Kingdom, France, Japan for sure, and so on. In this regard, it's important to mention about one of the most important project which is under implementation right now under the support of the US government. It's a public outreach campaign on the amnesty of orphaned resources of another radiation. The implementation of this project became possible owing to the US Department of State and US Department of Energy. The executor of this project is a private organization, Chernobyl Research and Development Institute, and our agency acts like a beneficiary. Beneficiary is In other words, it's the state owner of the program who monitors, facilitates all the activities in relation to the implementation of this project. The period is almost 2 years, so the project is successfully been under implementation. The first aim is preventing of smuggling and reduction of nuclear terrorist threat. We chose the pilot area on the territory of Ukraine for this project to be implemented. This city's name is Dnipro, the region called Dnipropetrovsk. First of all, why this region? Because it has the highest possible concentration of ionizing radiation sources, because there is a number of enterprises, institutions and organizations there. Secondly, this region is located near to anti-terroristic operation, which is Donetsk. And the third reason why Dnipropetrovsk region, because our special combine, which store radioactive waste, is located in the suburbs of Dnipro. Just a couple of words about our executor, project implementer. Chornobyl Research and Development Institute has signed a basic ordering agreement and a memorandum of understanding with the Oak Ridge National Lab. Oak Ridge National Lab is the executor on behalf of the donor. This is an expert group of highly professional experts in the field of energy, renewable energy and radioactive waste handling. They have already helped our agency with other projects related to radioactive waste safety and security. The project background is for sure, first of all, to improve the level of public safety, to eliminate the wrong perception that ionizing radiation sources can be sold on so-called black market, to formate the appropriate system to reduce the nuclear threat. So this project is divided into main stages. First of all, first stage is almost completed. It dealt with the collection and analyzing the initial data of spent ionizing radiation sources in this pilot region. The second is development of recommendations in relation to procedures of handling with orphan sources. Then the development and conduction of the public outreach campaign itself. It can be a social service, movies, conferences, so on, brochures, to hold a pilot collection of orphaned resources, and to form a mechanism for expansion of this project all over Ukraine in the future, in the nearest future, I hope. What's been already done? According to the basic ordering agreement, our contractor, Chornobyl Research and Development Institute, has already analyzed available information and identified potential sources outside regulatory control, and they fulfilled the second task, testing procedures for interagency coordination, identifying the roles and responsibilities of each agency which is involved in the situation where someone, for example, finds the strange item. As a deliverable of task 1, our contractor provided us with a secured website portal with limited access at STUATOM.org. And they provided us with a detailed report on the database of all their ionizing sources that have been or may be outside the regulatory control. and the interactive map on the website. So they they reported on radiation source used in Dnipropetrovsk Oblast with indication of their characteristics and external appearances. With annexes, they collected actually the historical data and data from the state register. So talking about task 2, in April there was a interagency coordination meeting under the support of our agency. We gathered all the relevant institutions, ministries and organizations. Their representatives took part in so-called tabletop exercises, and they discussed the procedure for interaction of all the bodies and legal entities in the area of nuclear energy in case of illicit trafficking of radioactive material. This procedure is adopted by the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine. So the obtained results after the implementation of task 1 and task 2 showed like a full picture of the current situation in Dnipropetrovsk region, and it will enable the creation of a platform for future public campaign. And for sure it showed which gaps we need to eliminate in our legislation in order to improve the procedure of interagency cooperation in terms of illegal trafficking.